from the New York Post editorial board. Elon Musk's right. The left has gone insane. I don't think we need the New York Post to tell us that Elon Musk is right about that, but he is. Now, they show this meme from Elon Musk, which we talked about the other day. It's from Colin Wright. And you can see you got these little stick figures. People in 2008 who are left of center and stayed where they are became centrists, and by 2021, in that same position, are now considered right wing. This is factually true and correct, and the media is desperate to debunk it. Mm-hmm. So let's have this conversation. First, let me just show you some snippets. The Washington Post immediately said what Elon Musk's polarization graph gets wrong. What do? They show congressional charts about House caucuses. So you're telling me that because the Democrats march in lockstep on their policy, that means they're not going far left? Please. Let's go down to how they. So there's a couple things to actually point out, but I'll come back to this in a second. Here's how they actually map it out. Republicans are far right, and the middle of the road people are center right. The Democrats have moved somewhat to the left, meaning the center is still the center, but the Republicans have stayed where they are. You see, the Republicans have always been far right. The argument from the Washington Post is that, well, the Democrats did move far left, but you see, the baseline was always far right. So the Republicans actually are far right. My attitude is the Washington Post and other media outlets are trying to create this narrative where they've pinpointed where Democrats, moderates, and Republicans are, then taken the Overton window and shifted it so it puts the conservative in the far right quadrant and puts them as centrists. You can get rid of the underlying graph, and we can clearly see that Democrats have shifted far to the left. It doesn't matter what you think of conservatives. Let me show you a couple tweets. We have this one from the New York Times. They play a clever game with this one. The Republican Party has barely shifted to the right. Look at this. The Democrats, they're 300% further left? Mm-hmm. Here's the game. The median party shows the Democrats are only center left. Yeah. And they used to be far right. Now, the New York Times can justify the Republicans are far right and the Democrats are just center left. So when we say the Democrats have gone too far left, we're talking about in 2008, Barack Obama saying he does not believe in gay marriage. And by 2021, Joe Biden says, affirm your children. Now you've got schools teaching kids about, and you've got surgeries on children. So it's like, if you want to talk about where Obama used to be and where the Democrats are now, the Republicans are actually to the left. Yes. Republicans are now pro-LGBT.
Yeah, no,
not all of them.
The Republican Party has absolutely moved to the left. That's not even a question. And our culture overall has moved very swiftly and very far to the left. I can't hear another analysis completely lacking in self-awareness from some lefty about how being on the left is just the normal default position and therefore moderate, and everyone to the right of them is far right. It's completely ridiculous. I think anyone who isn't on the far left recognizes that too. And so they're just speaking to their own echo chambers, because I've never heard a conservative or moderate person say anything along those lines. Basically, everyone agrees the left has gone further to the left and everything else has too.
So one of the things they're saying is someone posted this tweet and they were like, Mitt Romney, who was the presidential nominee for Republicans in 2012, is now considered on the left of the Republican Party, and we nominated Joe Biden. The Republicans have gone far right, blah, blah. It's like Mitt Romney is not called a leftist or a left-leaning person. He's called a rhino and an establishment shill. There's a difference. And Joe Biden, who you nominated, said recently to affirm your children. Yeah. The president, for which Joe Biden was vice president under, campaigned against gay marriage.
Well, look, with Mitt Romney, it's an easy mistake to make, so let me just spell it out for the audience. Just because someone is unbelievably lame doesn't necessarily mean they're on the left, so it's possible for Mitt Romney to not be.
Yeah, that's I think it's a stark admission from the left.
Well, here's the other thing that I love, right, is that as soon as, when they are our Republican nominee, or when we're the Republican nominee, the left says they're racist and they're bigots and they're horrible human beings. Like, I'm old enough to remember Mitt Romney being the worst, racist on the planet. And I remember the same thing about John McCain. John McCain was every Democrat's favorite Republican until he got the Republican nomination. And then Keith Olbermann's on the TV going, he needs to suspend his campaign right now and get the white supremacist under control within his own party. So the bottom line is that I don't care who we run, right, on the Republicans. I don't care who they run. They're always going to be a racist, sexist bigot, according to the left. And then whoever we run next, they're like, oh gosh, I remember the good old days when it was Mitt Romney.
Right.
Like,
you see
give
that?
me
What
a
was it?
break.
Who was it? Michelle Obama. Somebody was eating candy with George W. Bush.
Yeah.
There. Oh no, Ellen.
Well, Michelle
Ellen.
Obama and George Bush are also friends. She tweeted out about how he's her partner in crime, something
Right.
along those lines.
It was
Isn't that
Ellen.
so
Was it?
cute?
Was it?
Did
Was
she
it?
actually
Was
use
it
I mean,
war
like
crime?
literally, I don't know how
War-
that.
war
I gotta
crimes,
double
or-
check. I gotta double check here.
George, I remember in the 2000s going to these protests, and they would hold up signs of George W. Bush with Hitler mustache.
Yeah.
Now, this is hilarious. A couple of years ago, there was a poll that found Democrats had a more favorable view of George W. Bush than Trump, and that their view of George W. Bush moved positive from negative. I'm sorry, man. Y'all have lost the plot.
Well, because they don't have principles. They never believed anything. They just repeat whatever their television tells them to.
This is correct.
It's not like they didn't like George Bush because they had actual reasons not to like George Bush. There are very
yeah.
good reasons
Very
not to like
good
George
reasons
Bush.
not to like
Very
George
good
Bush.
reasons. But that none of those are why they didn't like him. They didn't like him
I-
because they were told not to, and now they're being told to like him. So they go, remember the good old days when Bush was in
I
power?
remember the good old days of the protests against George W. Bush, and then Barack Obama was like, listen here.
Nope.
I'm going to be president, and we're going to end these wars. And then it's like, I vote for you, sir. Thank you for your vote. Now, kill those kids. Fire the bombs. And I was like, wait, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to blow up some kids. And I was like, President Obama, please don't. He's like, I'm doing it. And then he pressed the button and blew up kids. And I was like, you know what, man?
But it's different. He did it with more drone strikes. Yeah.
Right.
Actually,
he automated the process.
his only scandal was a tan suit, you guys.
Yeah.
That's what I've been told.
Well, it's not a scandal that he killed American citizens without charge or trial. You know,
that was just,
yeah,
that
just
no,
happened.
no. That wasn't a scandal.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No
The
one
press
cared.
did
They
not
didn't
know.
care. They
Did not
literally
have a
didn't
problem
care.
with it.
They
Did not have
literally
a
didn't
problem with
I
care.
thought that his signing of the NDAA was scandalous, and I didn't hear enough
Specifically,
pushback on that.
specifically the indefinite detention provision. They sign the NDAA, I think, every year.
He
National
should have
Defense.
ripped that thing apart along with the Patriot Act. That's the energy he came into office with.
But dude, like, do you genuinely think Barack Obama was opposed to those things?
I think he was, and
No.
then realized he'd get killed by the deep state if he did
No.
anything about it after
Dude,
like
he
the
blew
third
up
day in
kids.
office. Yeah. Remember, okay, this Let's Move campaign by Michelle Obama. They got in office. It's like, all right, we're cutting sugar out of our diets. Let's move. Let's get healthy. Like couple weeks go by, and this is in Katie Couric's documentary Fed Up, which is great. And then all of a sudden, the Let's Move campaign got co-opted by the sugar industry and became about an exercise campaign. Let's work out. It doesn't matter what you eat. Just keep eating your sugar. Let's move. Totally twisted. They got twisted by the people they surrounded themselves by. The people that he surrounded himself by were oligarchs. Shockingly.
I mean-
he came into office and said Abe Lincoln was his hero. When he left office, Teddy Roosevelt was his hero.
Ian.
Because he realized he couldn't do what Abe Lincoln
Or-
did. That's what the energy he had.
I agree to a certain extent, but it's also possible that he was lying when he was running for office.
Whew, wow, that was a big lie.
Yeah, it was all lies. One of the first things he did was signed off on the bombing of a Pakistani village, killing women and children.
I'm more to think that he got twisted by it. I mean, how can
Dude,
you get
no,
into
no.
that position and not
In one
get
day?
twisted? Yeah,
So
literally.
he
Before
gets-
he even got in, he was probably
No.
getting groomed.
He got choice of words, good one. He gets inaugurated, and then he goes into office, and he's like, I want to do all these really great things, and they're like, here are the documents, and he opens them up. Oh, I've been radicalized. Blow up those kids.
Yeah.
Like
I got a
within-
couple of daughters I got to
It was
think about.
it was a few days into his first term that he authorized these strikes
I
on
know.
villages.
I saw.
He
I
wasn't.
was there.
He was lying. They were all lying. They all campaign on stuff.
I
It's
wish
all
it was
just
that
lies.
easy. I
You
think
know,
that there's
the
a
one person who
machine
didn't
that-
lie in my lifetime was Donald Trump.
Ron Paul's
that
been
is-
pretty good about not
Oh yeah, no,
lying.
Ron's
yeah,
great.
Paul
I love
has
Ron.
lied.
Dr. Paul is
He's
the
the
man.
man.
And hold on.
We love him.
I want to clarify
Yeah.
that statement about Trump. Trump lies about stupid things
Yeah.
related to like his personal life and like
Yeah.
his gravitas. But when
My
Donald
hands are big and glorious.
when Donald Trump said, I want to end these wars, he really, really tried. No new wars. He was trying as hard as he could to get it. He said, I'm going to keep this promise. He wanted to build a wall. He started building a wall. I'm like, okay, well, that guy's doing what he said he wanted to do. Barack Obama was like, we're going to end these wars. And then within a few days, he was like, I'm blowing up kids.
Yeah, well, there's a reason the deep state tried to unseat Donald Trump, and they didn't have the same effort directed towards Barack Obama. He did everything they wanted him to.
The crazy thing about Trump, because when Trump first got into the race, I'm thinking to myself, you've got to be kidding me. Like, you have got to be kidding me. There's no way I trust this guy. And what shocked me was when he went in there, is one of the biggest areas where I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe how great he is, was on foreign policy, precisely because I always found myself in this weird place where you got one people over here that's like, let's invade everything, right? And then you got another group over here like, you should never go to war for any reason whatsoever. I'm like, actually, I think there's actually kind of a good middle ground here. And Trump really did take that position where it was, he would kick your ass, Right, but he wasn't just going to do it arbitrarily. I mean, when he had a perfect excuse, if he wanted to escalate with what happened with Iran and the bombing at the Iraq embassy, he had a perfect opportunity to be able to really double down on that. And the fact that he came back, he goes, I'm not going to drone strike somebody and kill a bunch of innocent people in the hopes that I'll get a couple bad guys.
Right.
Because one, it's immoral. Two, it's actually counterproductive on a practical level. And I'm sitting here going, if you would have told me this would have been Donald Trump talking this much, common sense on foreign policy, 5 years ago, I would have said you were nuts, but he was.
Well, we had a great economy. COVID happened the last year of his presidency. He takes some of the blame for some of what went down because he was advocating for some of this lockdown stuff too. And then everything got out of control. You give the government an inch to take a mile. I think he did a pretty good job. And I think he deserves another term, especially coming up 2024. I think what we're seeing with the recession or retraction of the economy by 1.4%, I'd call that the death knell for the Democratic Party. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about. So you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.